What's up? Welcome into Pushing the Pile, brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Day 2 of not free agency, legal tampering. So don't get it twisted.
Get the verbiage right,
Because no agent talked to any player before any of this started at noon yesterday.
Which makes sense. That's why all these moves are happening, because, players do all these dealings, right?
Well, yeah, it's just the agents are just really good at their jobs.
Yeah.
That's why they have to get a shout out in every tweet. They need the shout out. The agency needs a shout out.
Drew Rosenhaus,
every time it
CJ
breaks.
LeBoy, Jeff Nally.
Yeah.
You're just reading all these
Rosenhaus
names.
has negotiated like 20 deals in 24 hours. I think he's
that guy had a really good week.
Yeah, dude. I mean, this is for agents. Like you're booking, if you're a big agency like that.
This is it.
Good Lord. Hundreds of millions.
I never even thought about being an agent, like what it would be like to be an agent.
You shouldn't have. Good.
But let me tell you what, you get enough people that are good enough, you could be staying at the White Lotus in the residences. You don't even have to stay at the hotel.
It's a lucrative business. Obviously, I think
maybe
everyone's
college agents.
I think everyone's first exposure to agents was Jerry Maguire, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that
kid was cute.
He was.
That was a cute
Jonathan
kid.
Lipnicki.
Where's he now?
Is that his name?
I don't know.
He had a big head. Great movie.
Yeah.
But also does not do agents.
Help me help you.
It's like it goes Jerry Maguire and then Entourage. And then basically those two just sold me on Netflix.
Ari.
An agent.
Yeah.
And
Ari.
So wasn't the path.
Vastly different characters, though. So there is a spectrum there within the agency world.
Well, I feel like Ari would have been one of the people that Jerry Maguire, like at his previous agency, that's like, hey, we hate you now.
Yep.
That would have been Ari.
He's doing his own thing, though.
All right, we got a lot of signings, though. Because not as many as day one. Day one was hype. Day two, a little more tame. But the Vikings came to play. We're going to go through team by team, signing by signing here through Pete Prisco's top 100, all the ones that went down. We'll start with the only top 10 signing of the day, Jevon Holland.
Yep.
Safety from Miami Dolphins. 3 years, $45 million to the Giants. This one feels like a steal to me. Now, he didn't have the best of years last year, but the first 3 years of this guy's career were, on par with guys like Derwin James, Kyle Hamilton, guys that we think of as,
pretty great names.
Yes. And you thought he could have been, like Micah Fitzpatrick and get a big top of the market deal. Last year, some injuries, doesn't have his best season, but Dolphins lost, the Giants gain here. I think he is going to outplay that. This feels like, they screwed it up with the Xavier McKinney, letting him leave town. Poor
non-valuable positions, running back and safety. Well, take a look what Saquon and Xavier did last year.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. So Holland, I think, fixes that and fixes it very quickly for this Giants.
It backs those Giants fans that I've been communicating with on Twitter and via text message. I got some buddies who are Giants fans. I alluded to this. It backs them off the ledge a little bit. You get a guy like this into your building. It's a big time building block on that back end, difference maker. And for Joe Shane to let Xavier McKinney and Saquon Barkley walk, and then to watch them have the seasons that they did, it kind of feels like a no-brainer that the fact that he was available at 45-3, that the New York Giants would move on him.
I'll just say if the Giants secondary is bad next season, you have no one else to blame but Joe Shane. Every single one of those guys was put there specifically by Joe Shane. You have your first rounder from 2023 in Deonte Banks, your second rounder from 2024 in Tyler Nubin at safety. You have your third rounder from 2024 in Drew Phillips at the slot. And then you have your two big money corner or defensive backs, Paulson Adebo at corner, Jevon Holland at safety. If it stinks, you got one man to blame. They all added all those guys in the last 2 years. All right, let's get on number 15 here. Will Fries.
This is big.
The hot name in the guard class goes to the Minnesota Vikings. 5 years, $88 million. If you don't know the name, second year, 2 years of starting for the Indianapolis Colts. This past year, he had an 86.9 PFF grade in 5 games before breaking his tibia. In retrospect, probably not even a bad. It didn't even end up hurting his bank account. We always talk about these guys like, wanting to not get hurt. Guy got hurt, $88 million deal. Obviously, Kwesi and the staff there for the Minnesota Vikings, very forward-looking, very analytically based. And so they're not worried about the injury. They're just thinking we could be getting a steal on a guy.
Well, I was talking about this earlier, and there's a lot of signings in Minnesota, and we're going to get to the rest of the lion's share there. But as it pertains to Minnesota Vikings, when I think about that team in purple, I think about two words. I think about skill, because they are as skilled as any group, whether it be schematically on the back end, the guys who can play a multiple different positions and be pass rushers from the third level. Or then I think about the guys at the receiver room for them. They're just oozing with skill and talent. To have a little bit of this brutish stuff infused into your team. And like I said, we're going to talk about the defensive front, but Will Fries, important, good at the tackle, great at the tackle spot there in Minnesota. Yeah. Solidify the interior part of that offensive line, because we don't know who's going to be playing quarterback there. I mean, it could be J.J. McCarthy. It could be Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, what's up with this? Let's talk about the Vikings for just a little bit longer, because they signed not only Will Fries, they signed Ryan Kelly, also from Minnesota.
Big.
The long-term center, to be their center, replace Garrett Bradbury. Bradbury maybe moving to guard, maybe Kelly moving to guard. I don't know what's going to happen there. They signed not only him, they signed Jonathan Allen from the Washington Commanders on a 3-year, $60 million deal. And then they signed Jevon Hargrave, or reportedly to be signing him. We haven't had full details on that yet. Obviously, he was cut by the San Francisco 49ers. He's 32 years old. So two kind of vet DTs they signed, cut from their previous spots, so they won't factor in the compensatory picks, but Fries and Kelly will be. And then they re-signed Byron Murphy, their slot cornerback, that everyone kind of said, yeah, we think he's going to re-sign with him.
Got to keep him.
Yeah.
And there's a couple guys where it's like, you're not getting out of my sight. Byron Murphy's one of those guys. And you talked about Jevon Hargrave and the other defensive tackle. Gosh, we've talked about him all day, and now I'm blanking on it. Jonathan Allen from Washington. These are guys that are good players, but they're different points in their career right now. Jevon Hargrave has some question marks there, coming off of an injury, and he's at that age where you don't quite know how the bounce back is going to be. Mm-hmm. Jonathan Allen has done it for a very long time. He's a real winner. He's a guy that can force you to allocate resources at the line of scrimmage to try to get him blocked, because he can win on third downs. I think it's really important. I talked about scheme and skill. You bring in these interior linemen on both sides of the football, and you mean business. And when you take a look around the division, the NFC North, as skilled as the quarterbacks are and as talented as the coordinators are at getting receivers open, at the end of the day, it's pound the rock style football teams, and it's win the line of scrimmage style football that's happening. So Minnesota is following suit here, bolstering that both of those lines, offensive and defensive.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing some of these guards get paid more than I think anyone anticipated, because one, there is a good amount in this free agency class. Two, there's not a good amount in the draft. There's not going to be a plethora of starting interior offensive linemen the way we saw a year ago. So that's why maybe there's a little desperation to go get your guy and get them this free agency period. But the last thing to know here about the Minnesota Vikings was this oddly cryptic tweet from Mike Silver. He tweeted, "In the Vikings organization, Kevin O'Connell's opinion carries the most weight when it comes to QB decisions. There are some very interesting conversations taking place right now." Because I think everyone and their mother would think that after Sam Darnold left town, it's just J.J. McCarthy, right? You just drafted him, 10th overall pick. What decision is there to be made? It's J.J. McCarthy.
Yeah.
What could you think he's hitting?
But there's some interesting conversations there. I mean, look, at the end of the day, he may be a second-year player in terms of just the calendar. He's a rookie quarterback. Mm-hmm. So I see that these moves, going to get Kelly, getting Fries in the building, tells me that their plan right now is to have J.J. McCarthy be the starting quarterback in his second year in the National Football League. It'll be his first year playing. I think they're confident with the guys around him, but they're just trying to secure that line of scrimmage, because the last thing they want is a gun-shy rookie out there with a team that, in all honesty, can be competing for the NFC North.
Interesting. Would it be Aaron Rodgers?
It could be Aaron Rodgers. And if it is Aaron Rodgers, you need to protect him anyway.
Could be Anthony Richardson.
So why not bolster that group? Could be Anthony Richardson.
Signed. That one we'll get to a little bit. Well, that one we'll get to a little bit later. Let's actually get to the Colts, because the Colts were another very active team today, signing the next free agent on this list, number 18, Charvarius Ward, obviously from the San Francisco 49ers, goes to Indianapolis Colts, 3 years, $60 million deal, matching Carlton Davis's number. Both guys who are up there in age, their best football at this point, 28 years old, about to turn 29, probably behind them. You're not getting any better. but they've been so good for so long, and they have a press skill set that's unique at the NFL level, and years of doing it, that you feel good about them. And for the Indianapolis Colts, I think the desperation was just there. I don't know, after Juju Brent's injury last year, if they're necessarily reliant upon him. I think Shavar's Ware's your starter, and you got a sort of competition for that CB2 spot now. But they just needed to make some upgrades to that secondary.
Ward, a really good player, has been on some great teams. Obviously a Super Bowl champ in Kansas City. Got to go play in San Francisco with that defense, who was awesome to watch. You got to think he's going to pick up where he left off, introducing himself to a new locker room. But for the Colts, they get a guy who's still in his 20s with the opportunity to go play some good press coverage. And like you said, he's a long guy in the arms. He's somebody that can be a real mismatch at the point of attack with some of these receivers. And that's what you need in this football league. I mean, they're giving guys jump ball opportunities. Go get somebody who can make a play on the football. So
not only did they sign him, though, they signed Daniel Jones to a 1-year, $14 million deal that could become $17.7 million, which, backup numbers have increased. But this is borderline.
That's out of the zip code as backup.
That's no longer backup quarterback material. That's like similar to the deal they gave Gardner Minshew in Las Vegas, where it's like you're going to compete for the starting job sort of deal. That's what that is. That's like you're competing.
And look,
sort of deal.
You and I both know that there is going to come a time where the bell will toll and Daniel Jones will have to come off the sideline, whether it is because of performance of Anthony Richardson or lack thereof, or it is because of injury. And with the way that Anthony Richardson plays the game of football, a reckless abandon, physical running style of football.
Yeah, I mean,
things happen, dude.
We're 2 years in with multiple injuries.
Things happen, and we've seen it before. And, I totally anticipate seeing Daniel Jones out there for 3-4 games this year.
Did you see the Darius Butler, Pat McAfee clip talking about Richardson? They kind of seem to hint at, and I'm putting just tea leaves together with Mike Silver thing, hint at that, like, they might be
moving off of him,
or might just be like planning to go elsewhere at the quarterback position, or shopping, whatever, with him. Saying that, I think the quote was, McAfee said something to the point of, if it's 2 years here and then he's elsewhere next year, we'll all be super happy for him that, we like brought him up to speed at the quarterback position. He'll go on and do great things. I was like, he was talking pretty,
keep it classy.
Like if you don't have some sort of inside info and you're that comfortable saying that, like, the guy, when, this is number 4 overall pick, he's entering year 3. He's always been the starter.
This is supposed to be the year he launches.
Exactly. So just some interesting.
That's not great.
Just something interesting to keep an eye on going forward here. But the Indianapolis Colts, and then the flip side of that is the San Francisco 49ers. They are not going to be on any of these lists signing big money free agents. In fact, they lost not only Charvarius Ward, they lost Aaron Banks, Talanoa Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw, Jalen Moore, Elijah Mitchell.
And they got two guys that got to get paid, astronomical numbers.
One at the quarterback position.
With the rusher and the quarterback. So
they're finding out kind of how the other half lives, in that you can only play the cap game for so long.
Yep.
At some point, now, are any of these guys indispensable pieces? No. I don't think any of these guys are what made them solely a championship team a couple years ago, but you better draft your ass off. And they had a great draft last year, but you got to draft your ass off if you're going to lose mid-tier players like they're losing right now. Some even above that in terms of what they bring to the table. That, like, it's hard to do stars and scrubs for forever. And again, it comes back to, you better be drafting exceedingly well to be carrying at this, once they sign Brock Purdy, 4 guys of over $30+ million a year. It's hard to do.
And you get to having 4 guys earning $30+ million a year by nature of the fact that you've had such success. But the problem with the San Francisco 49ers is they've had so much success and then they've fallen off the face of the earth when it comes to meaningful football time, crunch time, whether it's Super Bowls or NFC championships. You go down that route so many times and you have to change things up. Mm-hmm. It's like that window is closed. I feel comfortable saying that, but now we have to find another avenue to get to where we're going. So whether it's the door or, we got to bust open the wall or something, figure out how to make that happen. And to your point, your backs are against the wall. You got to draft really well.
Got to draft really well. That's just the nature of, like, football, though. If you ain't drafted really well, you ain't building a team through free agency.
Yep.
I can't think of a team that's won a Super Bowl that was built from buying players for the teams. It's just difficult to do. At the end of the day, it's got to come from within. All right.
And that's why the Eagles are so damn good.
Yeah. I mean, the Eagles aren't in the Super Bowl if they don't have the first and second rounds they did the past 2 years.
Yeah.
You know, if they whiffed on those picks, you know, if they drafted duds the last 2 seasons, they're a first round exit.
Yep.
They just are. All right, we'll take a quick break after that. Going to get to some more free agent signings right after this.
Sail GP lands in California. The Port of LA welcomes the 12 world-class teams to the epicenter of glitz, glamour, and Hollywood.
GP. We're watching the Sail GP commercials here. It looks like a fun time out there on the water. Check it out on CBS Sports.
Next one to get to here, and I can't believe some of the money differences here. Let's get to both James Daniels and Ben Bredesen. James Daniels, former Bear, former Steeler, goes to the Miami Dolphins on a 3-year, $24 million deal, but he's only 27 years old. It's not like this guy's...
He got drafted. He was like 19, 20.
Yes, that guy was super young coming out of Iowa.
Had braces.
He was good on the football field last year when he was healthy, only healthy for the first 4 games of the season. But man, I think this could be a steal of the deal for the Dolphins. This is like where you win free agency is mid-tier deals. You know, when you sign a guy to a top of the market deal, he has to play like a top of the market player for that to be a value, right? You win free agency by getting a guy who's a mid-tier deal, and this one probably like less than mid-tier with the way the guard market's gone. 3 years, $24 million, and then he plays like a starter. So I think that's a great move for the Dolphins. Great move for the Buccaneers, getting Ben Bredesen, 3 years, $22 million. These are starting guards in the NFL. Now, are they ever going to be confused with Pro Bowl guards in the NFL? Probably not. Is Aaron Banks, though? Is Will Fries? Have they made a Pro Bowl? No.
That's big bread. Big bread for those gentlemen.
This is where I'm a GM. That's where I'm playing for it. Now, sometimes you have, you know, a window when you have the rookie quarterback deals that the Vikings do, or something like the Commanders, where it's like, let's take a swing. We got money to play with. Go sign a guy that we know is in his prime and he knows playing good ball. Sure, pay him a little more than he should. But the Bucs aren't that team right now. The Dolphins aren't that team right now. They're paying the quarterbacks. So you got to find your edges where you can. I think these are 2 guys you can find an edge.
James Daniels has position versatility, really bright player, technically sound. He's somebody that can help, you know, upgrade your unit immediately. And, you know, what I started with was positional versatility. If a guy goes down, he can kick the right guard, left guard. He can play the center position. And I think that's extremely important. As we've seen, it's so hard to keep offensive linemen on the field. It's just by nature of the game we're playing. James Daniels is the perfect option to have a little bit of malleability as it pertains to which position he's playing.
All right, next up, 31 on Pete Prisco's top 100, Dre Greenlaw, the former San Francisco 49er. We just touched on it a little bit, the 49ers exodus. But he goes to the Denver Broncos, 3-year, $35 million deal. Unfortunately, I think everyone knows his story. Tore the Achilles, running off the sideline in the Super Bowl against Kansas State Chiefs. 34 snaps all last year, just could not get back healthy after that Achilles. So obviously some big risk in that injury coming back, but he's only going to be 28 years old starting next season.
Dude, that's a hell of a deal to get coming off of those 2 years.
And
at the end of 23 and into 24, for him to roll this into 3 years, $35 million is huge.
It is, right.
And for the Broncos, it's great because you're banking on this guy coming back with a vengeance. And he's at that age now where you can still recover and still come back, maybe even sometimes with more explosion. And when I think about Sean Payton's defense, when I think about Sean Payton's football teams, and we've talked about this before, I just think about hard-nosed people on the offensive side of the ball, hard-nosed formations, personnel on the offensive side of the ball. You got fullbacks, tight ends, the whole nine. Well, they've started to add these bruisers on the defensive side of the ball. And obviously they got a lot of skill there on the back end, but you add Ufanga in there and Greenlaw and a number of these guys. The only question is, can they stay healthy? And if they can, these folks in Denver are going to look like some brilliant dudes.
Yeah, I think if he would, like, he never tears the Achilles. Say he hits free agency after the Super Bowl year with no Achilles tear. He's signing $18 million a year, you know, like the Tremaine Edmonds deal for his 18. Like that's where he's at. So you're coming in $7 million a year below what he would have been at had he just been healthy. Now, again, that's why you're getting him below that. But we've seen guys come back from Achilles before. And obviously you can do the physical on him now to see where he's at. And maybe they did at some point this offseason. So hopefully if the Broncos get Dre Greenlaw and Talanoa Hufanga healthy on that football field, they had one of the best free agencies of any team in the NFL.
Yep.
Truly.
Except for the Bears.
Okay. If the Bears, I'm just going to say this about the Bears.
Get it out.
They only signed day one free agents. Everyone and their mother knows day one
doesn't do it.
Is where you don't find value.
Okay.
Day one free agents are always
maybe Ryan Poles got
the guy
waiting in the
top.
wings.
Where you get the value for agents is it's like day 3, day 4.
The James Daniels
5 months, like a month before the draft.
The James Daniels
month before the season starts. Yeah. Next one here before we'll go to some trade news that we saw. Christian Fulton to the Chiefs. I really like this deal. 2 years, $20 million. To me, he had a big year for the Los Angeles Chargers last year. He was a guy who was good early on in his career with the Tennessee Titans. By the time he hit free agency, you had that play where he got punked by A.J. Brown. He got hurt on that play, had a terrible season 2023. Goes to L.A., though, and I thought he figured something out. This is a guy who isn't, he's not going to be confused for Charvarius Ward or Carlton Davis. No one's confusing him for a top of, a guy who could really trail number one corner.
It's not what Spags needs.
But they just want to keep a full stable. Everyone knows, not everyone knows, but at the quarterback position, you're only as strong as your weakest corner when you play man coverage, because that's the one people are going to attack. So this now makes it so that your weakest corner is still a pretty darn good corner if it's Christian Fulton. So I like this move from their part.
And with so many question marks for the Chiefs, whether it be offensively with the retooling of that offensive line, Tooney going out the window, the left tackle question marks there. They've answered some of this stuff here in the last few days. One thing that you can always lean on is that Spags defense and find a way to make that your strength. And we've taken a look at the Kansas City Chiefs, a team that historically has been offensive juggernaut with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. But it's this defense that keeps them in ball games. Get a guy like Christian Fulton, and to your point, there's no weak links. There's no fish out there that these guys are trying to exploit every single down, because that's a nightmare to try to live with. How are we going to hide this guy on the field? Now you don't have a guy that you have to hide.
Exactly. Let's get to a couple of running back news. Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, two guys from, the 2021 NFL draft class. I think both were within like the top 35 picks. And 1 year is $9.5 million for Najee with the Los Angeles Chargers. 1 year, $3 million for Javonte Williams with the Dallas Cowboys. I like these homes for both. I think Najee to the Chargers, he immediately, at least from a fantasy perspective, becomes a very intriguing back. That is the scheme you want him in. You want him running power counter. You don't want him running outside zone.
Yeah, I mean, he gets to be the hammer there.
Yeah.
He gets to be the hammer. He gets to be patient. He gets the opportunity to see the holes and then get that big frame downhill. People don't realize how big this dude is, Najee Harris. And when you walk up on him, it's like walking up on a horse. It's like, where do I put my hand
like an H-back
thing? And Jim Harbaugh, that he's fired up to have a guy like Najee Harris coming out of the backfield. Going to be a big help for Justin Herbert. Truly, he's a guy that the offense can go through down in, down out.
And Gus Edwards last year,
but that's great value.
The tank, unfortunately, had run out. He looked, I have him on my dynasty
He's
team.
been to hell and back.
And I remember watching him, week 1, and he was splitting carries. Or J.K. Dobbins had got the majority of the carries, and I'm just like, I don't think he's ever coming off the bench. But I couldn't get rid of him because just in case. But he had the step was out. That's what you worry about with older running backs. Najee, though, I mean, there's tread on the tires, right? 200 plus carries, 4 straight seasons. The Steelers got their money's worth in terms of usage.
Yeah, they did.
They didn't get their money's worth in terms of effectiveness, but he'll, I believe, be more effective with the Chargers, especially behind that offensive line. And Javonte, this kind of gives the Cowboys flexibility. Everyone wanted to mock them on Ashton Jeanty, right? Ashton Jeanty 12, Ashton Jeanty 12, Ashton Jeanty 12.
Somebody else 12.
They don't have to. You don't have to. It'll be the Dallas Cowboys. Somebody else 12. I agree.
1 year, $3 million with the opportunity to add some stability in that backfield. It's good. That's a great get right there. That is a value get there for the Dallas Cowboys. And to your point, they don't have to splurge in that first round, high in that first round, to be able to get the running back. This guy's gotten the job done. He'll be able to continue to do that.
All right, let's talk a couple trades before we get to a break here.
Trades?
This first one I was very intrigued by from both parties involved. Eagles traded safety C.J. Gardner-Johnson in a 2026 6th-round pick for guard Kenyon Green and a 2026 5th-round pick.
Don't look at his PFF score.
It's bad. Kenyon Green, former first-rounder, if you don't know, I think he believes the 15th overall pick in 2022 out of Texas A&M. But a guy who was, I think, 20 years old on draft day, so super young still. I think he's still only 24 years old, heading into the last year of his rookie deal. 23 years old. He turns 24.
Good for him.
This weekend. So very young. There are players in this draft class, guards in this draft class, coming out who are older than him, right? You know, it's like there are guys who are going to be 2nd-round picks.
I was an older guard than he was as a rookie.
Yeah. Like, so this guy, it was all development. You know, could you develop him? Could you develop him? And if you look at the Houston Texans offensive line, well, they haven't been able to develop that many guys. Whereas
Take a look at the Philly line coach, Jeff Stalin. You're about to do it.
And the Philadelphia offensive line, a little bit better track record, shall we say. And no one's ever doubted his physical tools. The guy is strong as hell, very explosive, and he can move people. So now,
sign me up for this guy.
With Mekhi Becton's future still uncertain, with Tyler Steen, the last time we saw him, he got swam by Tershawn Morton on like one of his 3 plays in the Super Bowl. Just some insurance. And I like this move a lot from the Eagles' perspective and from the Texans' perspective, because now they get a versatile starting safety. Safety obviously was a massive problem for them a year ago. I believe it was Eric Murray, who was like just busting coverages left and right. This gives you a guy who's far more reliable there on the back end, but it does have to say that you've lost your left tackle and left guard from year ago. Kenny Green was part of the problem, so this is not fixing that. But you lost Laramie Tunsil, you lost Kenyon Green. The Texans' starting offensive line, as it stands right now, consists of Blake Fisher at left tackle, Laken Tomlinson at left guard, Jarrett Patterson at center, Juice Scruggs at right guard, Titus Howard at right tackle. I don't think I'm making any ground here and saying that might be the worst offensive line in the NFL.
And it's shocking to me that they're going to roll this thing out there after what we saw last year with C.J. Stroud getting sacked about 60 plus times. When your entire, like when we talk about the Bengals, you're only going to go as far as Joe Burrow can take you. You're only going to go as far in Houston as that guy C.J. Stroud can take you. And after taking a step back in his 2nd year after an absolute freak show of a rookie year, it begs the question, how are we going to get better on the offensive side of the ball? Well, I'll tell you one thing that's non-negotiable. We're not letting Laramie Tunsil leave, and we're not going to let that 23-year-old first-round pick leave. Well, they did. And the Eagles are going to benefit from it. The Commanders are going to benefit from it. And while the C.J. Gardner-Johnson move is cool for the defensive side of the football, if you are going to do what you did on the offensive side of the ball again, you might as well just plan your Cabo trip already.
Did you see the C.J. Stroud clip, though, talking about Laramie Tunsil?
What was he saying?
It wasn't like it wasn't anything bad or anything, but I think it was from like podcast like last year. And they basically asked them something about like, what vets are taking like vet days or whatever. And he's like, oh, Tunsil ain't doing anything extra or something.
None of the great, I mean, I won't say none of the great ones because I don't want to put a blanket statement on some of these guys who show up and bust their ass every day. There's a lot of guys out there taking vet days. Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Again, Laramie Tunsil.
And if I'm out there putting paws on people like Laramie Tunsil and my feet can move with the swiftness like old Laramie Tunsil, you better believe I'm going to be missing that inside run period.
It is. He was traded because of what they're trying to change the culture of the offensive line. The offensive line was talented last year. Their performance was dog shit.
Yep.
Like they were trying.
Something's missing.
There is a disconnect that they are trying to basically cut all the wires of the pieces that wouldn't have fit back in. And that's what they did with Laramie Tunsil and Kenyon Green. They're going to try to rebuild the culture. Maybe they'll get better results. We'll see. But they got about 3 positions at minimum that I would like to upgrade along that offensive line. So we'll see what they end up doing to do so.
And there's only 3 positions on the O-line, by the way, which means, we're in big trouble there. Buddy.
Yeah. But it better start in free agency. If you're banking on it. So Blake Fisher, you're probably like penciling in, like Blake Fisher left and Titus Howard have to be your tackles. At this point, I don't think there's any fixing it. Laken Tomlinson, they signed him. Ask Seattle fans how that went last year. They have a need in the offensive line, and they just let him walk out the door. Jarrett Patterson, I think we've seen enough of the course of his career, 6th rounder. Drew Scruggs probably one of your stars too. So, dude, if that's what they roll in on, that's just
criminal.
We'll see, I guess.
But it's a culture thing. We're going to out-culture these guys. We're going to roll our culture out there, and our culture is going to get leverage on that defensive line.
Hopefully our
culture is going to keep CJ Stroud off the ground.
Hopefully it's cultures of like Winstrol. Is that culture?
Cultures. Just give them, some Winnie.
All right. Other trade to get to. Also the Eagles. Howie season, as Lane Johnson tweeted out today. Eagles trade Kenny Pickett to the Browns for Dorian Thompson-Robinson and a 2025 fifth-round pick. Kenny Pickett moved for the second straight offseason, the 20th overall pick in the 2022 NFL draft.
Kenny Pickett keeps failing down. It just keeps ending up, from Pittsburgh to Philly, that's all well and good. But then,
I love this for the Browns.
You go to Cleveland and it's,
he could start there.
You go from the penthouse to the outhouse, though.
But I think he's better than Sean Watson.
Oh, I'm not here to argue that.
That might be. They may have just got their week one start. It was kind of like an afterthought today, but that might be.
Yep.
Here's the thing. He was also not going to beat out Tanner McKee.
Stud, the CPA that we talked about, who's just an absolute baller.
So that's why they're willing to move him. But yeah, I don't hate the move from the Browns' perspective. Just throw the kitchen sink. I think you trade for Kenny Pickett, you sign some random vet, you draft a guy in the second round.
Don't push with DTR. He's too little.
Oh yeah, that guy's just don't have him on your roster. I think at this point, his stats were the worst stats in NFL history.
It's a culture thing.
Culture, okay. This is different than the Winstrol culture for sure. But from the Browns' perspective, just like whatever you can possibly do it, but don't take a quarterback number 2 overall quarterbacks off the board. Cam Ward's off the board, my opinion. Don't pass on Abdul Carter. I love the idea. Now they have Myles Garrett signed through 2030 of pairing him with Abdul Carter. Crazy. Imagine having two of the best pass rushers, 2 top 5 pass rushers in the NFL.
Yep.
2 like true athletic freaks. When's the last time that was happened ever? It was 2015 Broncos. They won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I was going to say Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware.
That was probably the last time you had 2 of the 2 best of the top 5 pass rushers on the same team. You can very easily have that if you're the Cleveland Browns here.
Very short. It's insane to think about. I think about a lot of tandems between edge rushers and interior defensive linemen. There's been a lot of those Batman and Robin type setups, but to have 2 guys on the edge of your defensive line, it puts us offensive linemen in such a bind. We never know where we're going to slide. You can disguise things defensively. You can predetermine what's going to happen, and then you just go win. You go find the guy who's got the one-on-one. You just go win. And I don't think Abdul Carter's really tripping about going out and winning. And I know for a fact that Myles Garrett's not concerned about that.
Yes, as much as everyone wants to be exotic up front, you know what's even cooler than being exotic? Being as bland as humanly possible and still getting your ass.
Just ask the Eagles. Ask the Chiefs. Still
getting home every single play. That's as good as it gets in the NFL. And if you're the Browns, you're just one pick away from that.
Yep.
All right. One other quarterback move to get to. Zach Wilson.
Love this.
Everyone's favorite quarterback reclamation project.
Do you love this?
Goes to Miami Dolphins. I do love it.
I love it.
He's just bouncing between quarterback whisperers. I think if he touches enough quarterback whisperers, he went from Sean Payton. Now he's going to Mike McDaniel. I think he's maybe one more away.
Yeah. Who's it going to be? Like he's going to be Jordan Love's backup next.
I think he goes to San Fran next. And then San Fran, that's when the light switch flips. He's Sam Darnold. And then after that, someone signs him to be a starter. And then he's the Zach Wilson. It's his Geno Smith breakout.
I just remember being so enamored with that pro day.
He's going to sign
and
contracts
being like this. This guy can throw any ball on the field. And then after everything he went through, all the non-football stuff that we've enjoyed listening to and reading about with Zach Wilson, for him to go finally full circle, spend his time in Denver under Sean Payton behind Bo Nix, get to watch a rookie quarterback come in and develop and have great success and have the team rally around him. I think that was probably a priceless experience for him. And if you're Mike McDaniel, you have to think that the chances of Tua being out there for an extended period of time, they're not as high as you would like, and you need to have a plan B. And I think he's going to be dialing this guy, Zach Wilson, up immediately for the break glass in case of emergency button that they're going to have to press.
Here's the thing. I'm going to keep doing this. Zach Wilson, he's younger than Tyler Shuck, Louisville quarterback in the draft.
Wow.
Still only 25 years old. So
Did Zach Wilson take a mission? Did he go on a mission?
No, he wasn't.
Skipped his mission.
He was. I mean, did that guy? Does he strike you as a devout Mormon? The way
he's really handsome.
The way
like
Tanner
a lot of the
McKee,
Mormon guys I've seen.
The way Tanner McKee does.
Like clean cut looking.
Yeah. No, he did not take a mission before.
That's why he's so young.
That's why he's so young. All right, some re-signings to get to here. Mike Jackson to the Panthers, 2-year, $24 million deal. That's just desperation from the Panthers, in my opinion. They're like, we got to spend money. We need to upgrade the secondary. Let's re-sign Mike Jackson. Bobby Wagner, back to the Commanders.
This is great.
1 year, $9.5 million deal. I love this for the Commanders.
There's something about these linebackers that are in this era right now. They just won't go anywhere, you know? They're just going to be sticking around. That guy in Tampa, the guy in Washington now again, they're just everywhere. And it's great to see. That was the one that I was telling you before this whole thing happened. I said, that's the guy I'm going to keep an eye on because we talk about culture. We said it a few times. There's no better culture setter than Bobby Wagner. And obviously you still get the performative aspect of the guy. He's an absolute animal in the A-gap. Somebody can get your defense on the right page. So if you are missing that veteran leadership or presence, that'd be a guy you want. But credit to Dan Quinn and the Commanders for not only locking him up, but going and getting some other big-time players.
Also locked up Zach Ertz for a 1 year, just bring the boys back together.
Bring it back.
Now they just got to get Nick Bellore back. But I heard there's a bidding war going on for Nick Bellore now.
I bet.
The special teamer, linebacker.
They don't come around that often.
Raiders are in play. The Raiders are.
I would imagine they are, and maybe the Patriots.
So they got to get him back though. If they want to win championship, that's the championship piece. They got to get back. Chase Young goes back to the Saints. 3 years, $51 million. Because why not?
This guy has made so much money.
This is the last piece to the puzzle here in New Orleans. This is what you were missing.
You know what? I should have been an edge rusher.
This is hilarious because I'm not going to name any names, but I was at the combine talking to people with the Saints, and they're like, we're excited that we're running a 3-4 now. We could start getting 3-4 body types and outside linebacker.
Like Chase Young, sign him
it's
up.
like, oh no, let's actually resign Chase Young, who was a 4-3 defensive end.
Yep.
Like can't play stand up outside.
Has never two gapped ever.
Or play 3-4. You can't do either. He's a 4-3 defensive end. So yeah, what's his face? I'm blanking on the GM's name right now, but
you know what? Chase Young does pass the eyeball test, and we talked about culture. The eyeball test also important.
Mickey Loomis just can't stay away.
Make you a little nervous before the game,
and you can't stop spending money, dude. They can't stop spending money.
3 years, $51 million for Chase Young.
Let's just do a thought experiment. Within the next 3 years, will the Saints make the playoffs once?
No.
Why would you?
Why are we spending $51 million on an out of position, out of technique guy? Well, this is why we need to get you like in a building somewhere. Because if it was you making these decisions, I'd be like, I got the Saints doing the over on the win total.
It's just it just feels like I'm taking crazy pills with the Saints because what do you not see on the foot? Like, what are you not seeing in front of you about what this roster is? This roster right now. You went halfway. You went halfway. You traded away Marshawn Lattimore. You shouldn't have done that if you wanted.
They got Honey Badger back at a reduced rate.
Honey Badger back.
So we got that going for us.
They do. But dude, they're just going to keep being up against it for even longer. Are they
who dat or is Cincinnati who dat?
They're who dat.
Cincinnati's who day. What's wrong with
which one do you prefer?
I like who. I'll be honest. Who day sounds way cooler.
Who day is cooler. Who dat?
First off, what kind of stuff are these guys off of coming up with these chants?
Which one was first?
Who dat, I think, was
you think
first.
So? Who dat?
But who day is pretty cool.
I did every time. So who day is like, I do like that. And I lament this as a Notre Dame and Packers fan. I was just talking to someone about this like a week and a half ago. I don't have a cool chant to say when I see someone wearing Packers or Notre Dame gear. I say
go Pack go or go Irish.
But that's like
you guys found the whitest things to say to one another. Go team.
Yeah, but that's the universal. If you're a fan of any team, you say
we're bear down.
Go team.
I'm bear down.
Yes, bear down. Who day? Who dat? I always was like jealous of that. You could say who day.
Bolt up.
Not as cool.
You tell your boys to bolt up.
But that like just a Bengals fan sees a Bengals fan, they scream who day. The other one screams who day. It's cool. But when you do the full who day, who day.
Who they gonna beat them Bengals? But they do the same thing in New Orleans.
Yes,
they just switch the lyric.
It's cringy when you do the full thing, but when you just hit the one who day, I'm like, okay, that's cool.
Let's go back and forth. and see who can do the most of these catchphrases.
Okay. Fins up.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
Or ELGLES, as the mayor was saying.
See, there's like, what? Duval.
Did
you see the newest clip of him?
No.
Where it was like, yo, it was another one of them.
My Jags fans, what's going on, dude?
I kind of am obsessed with the.
So keep pounding. That's my next one.
Code switching that Liam does.
Code switching.
He's king at it. What else? There's so like the
12th
college
man
has the best ones where it's like War Eagle.
War Eagle's cool.
Yes.
War damn Eagle.
Things like that, which
that feels offensive.
We need to come up with one as Packers fans, as Notre Dame fans. That's not just basically go mascot.
Pack them up.
Pack them up.
Pack them up. Make the t-shirts. Pack them up. What do you think?
That reminded me of when I was at the Bears-Packers Monday night game when they played. This is 2002, I want to say, when they were playing at University of Illinois Memorial Stadium. I was like a child. Obviously, it was a Monday Night Football game. Packers won. Brett Favre hit down driver on a bomb. It was great.
Of course he did.
It was actually KGB had touchdown that game. Big run back. But Joe Johnson was defensive end, big free agent sign they had that year. Tore his biceps on that play. Didn't play again for the Packers. But they were chanting Fudge Packers was the first time I heard that one.
That's
it's
good.
Like the Bears,
I'll also make
Bears
those t-shirts.
Fudge Packers. And I was like, every time Bears fans came around to us, like my 12-year-old self, they chanted Fudge Packers.
What? So the Chiefs, that's go Big Red.
Is that what they?
I don't know. What are they? They just go, oh.
They started chanting.
They don't even say words. They just guttural noises at one another.
But I feel like that's a prerequisite if you are part of a fan base is to have something cool.
Ram them.
To say, what's...
Give me some good ones.
I don't have any good ones off the top of my head. We'll have to think of it. And if you have any good ones, please.
Minnesota, they're just like...
Why am I blanking out? Roll Tide. Roll Tide's like the pinnacle.
That feels biblical.
Saying Roll Tide. Skull. There we go.
Skull is a good one.
See, that's... all these
and they clap their hands up. Skull.
You see a Vikings fan say skull.
Nobody told those Norwegians that you clap in front of your body. So they all just have massive lats and they're just like, skull. This is how we clap.
Oh, man.
Sorry, we got a little rerouted there.
Last signing, Darius Slayton, wide receiver, goes back to the Giants. 3 years, $36 million.
Good.
I saw a great tweet about this. I think it was from, who's the Barstool Giants fan? That's Clem. He said Darius Slayton's got a 700-yard season his way to the top of every Giants receiving record.
Clem's funny,
which is true at this point. The guy is going to be with the Giants for probably 12 years. He's may never break 1,000 yards, but
he's a lifer
at this point. Not a bad deal though. I mean, the guy's still a vertical threat. You just don't want him to be. You want him to be your number 3 in an ideal offense. So I think they still need one. A guy across from Lake Neighbors. Hopefully, someone that's reliable. I know Darius Slayton's hands are a point of contention.
Go Blue Giants.
Go Big Blue. Is it? What's their? We just got to look at like the hashtags. That's where it all is. The Packers hashtag is Go Pack Go, and it stinks. All right, we're gonna take a quick break. After that, we're gonna get to some recap material, recapping our favorite classes so far.
I feel home when I see the faces that remember my own. When I'm with my friends, I feel home.
All right, we're going to do our favorite team and our favorite signing. So
we're talking winners from this legal tampering period.
Correct.
Well, obviously, you know that I'm going to be saying my favorite team is the Chicago Bears.
Okay, what's your favorite team? But who did the best? There's a big difference.
Bears, Patriots were great.
Okay.
Patriots were great. And I said this earlier, the biggest signing that the New England Patriots made was the firing of Gerard Mayo, the subsequent hiring of Mike Vrabel to get a Patriot back in the building. And you've seen the type of guy that they want to have in that building on the defensive side of the ball in particular. It just feels like they're going to get some junkyard dogs in New England and get ready to play some football, because last year what we heard at the podium was this team is soft. I didn't say it. They said it. And Mike Vrabel's like, not my Patriots. You know, he's putting that red jacket on for a minute. And guys are lining up. Obviously, they had to spend a certain amount of money to get over whatever it is, the Mendoza line, we'll call it, like they do in baseball, in terms of the cap. And they did. And they didn't just spend money to spend money. They went and got dudes at different levels of the defense. I really like that for the Patriots and Mike Vrabel. What better team to root for a little bit as a side team than the Patriots? They went through hell last year, but they got their quarterback in Drake May, and he's a lot of fun to watch.
My favorite, and this is going to hurt to say, it's the Minnesota Vikings. I thought they had a hell of a day. Will Fries, Byron Murphy, Jonathan Allen, Ryan Kelly, Isaiah Rodgers, who we didn't mention, slot corner, potential versatile guy. Letting Sam Darnold walk too. People were saying, bring him back 1 year, $25 million, bring him back, try to pay him. He just won X amount of games. No, this is like you shoot for the moon. You don't shoot for 12-win seasons. You shoot for Super Bowls.
Yep.
This is a Super Bowl window now, not having to pay him that big contract. Lost Cam Bynum. Yeah, I like Cam Bynum. I don't think it's going to kill them. So I think Minnesota Vikings had a heck of a free.
Dark horse move that you liked.
Ooh, dark horse move that I liked. So
You want me to set the stage for dark horse move?
Yeah, explain what you mean by dark horse. So
like not one of these PTPers. Yeah, I mean, they're PTPers to us because we like ball. Poona Ford.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I think it's doubly awesome for him because he gets to go from an up and coming roster with the Chargers. Obviously, culture change there, and a lot of success is going to be had in the Chargers organization over the next couple of years. But he's going to the Rams, immediate Super Bowl contender. The way that front four operates, the way that they're able to win. I mean, you take a look at that rookie class last year, they had some real ass kickers, and they went and got Devontae as well. But I'm talking about the Poona move. I think it's important that you have these guys that can rotate in fresh winners at the defensive line. And I think that's big for them.
All right, I'll tell you mine. De'Ami Brown.
Yep.
To the Jacksonville Jaguars. 1 year, $10 million. Not a big investment. I think he's their number 2 wide receiver next season. It stops them from having to, a lot of people on penciling in Ted McMillan at pick 5. Don't have to do that now. Don't think they will do that now.
Go look at the end of the year.
They'll go draft one in round 2, round 3, whatever. But I think this gives you at least a reliable number 2 who's also a vertical threat. The guy can win on the outside. So big fan of that move. And he's only 25 years old. The guy's still young, very young. Came out as a 20-year-old, I believe.
10 mil. That's great.
Yep. So that's my favorite dark horse. What's your favorite just overall move? One guy who at his next team or at the team you were signed with is just going to kick more ass than people think.
I think people are going to be really surprised to see the star that Drew Dahlman will become at the center position.
Freaking love Drew
in Chicago. I've talked about this guy for a while before he was even a Bear, right?
Yeah,
I've been talking about him since week 3. When you think about offensive line, just like when you were talking about Chase Young not being a scheme fit for what they were trying to do allegedly in New Orleans with the 3-4 versus a 4-3. The center position, the guard position, the tackle position, although across the league they're all playing the same position, they're doing different things, whether it's man schemes, zone schemes, G schemes, whatever it is you want to talk about. Drew Dahlman is going to be kind of the keystone of this Ben Johnson offense. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he utilizes him, his athleticism, his quick first step, his brains the right way, how it'll get Caleb Williams on the same page with the rest of this offense and that offensive line, importantly. And you get Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson, and Drew Dahlman. But Drew Dahlman, it all happens with the center. I can't wait to see how he looks in the Bears jersey. He took less money to join the Chicago Bears. That means something to me. And I think he's going to be a star.
All right, there's 2 moves that I loved. One, Jevon Holland to the Giants. I think comes back fully healthy next year, and he's a top 5 safety in the NFL. And people are like, how did this guy just get, was it second highest contract of any safety in this free agency period? Love that move for them. And I also love, and this is a re-signing, but Malcolm Kuntz back to the Raiders, $12 million. They obviously have a lot of turnover from a year ago. There's a lot of more stones that need to be turned over here. But Malcolm Kuntz was awesome back in 2023 before not playing this past season with torn ACL. If he comes back and back healthy, him and Max Crosby is going to be a lot of fun to watch. So I love that they were able to keep him in the fold when they lost a lot of pieces this free agency period. So love those moves.
Good for Max Crosby staying there too.
Good for Max Crosby.
Rarity. in
I think
today's
the
game.
Raiders, I think, are making good decisions. Now, still look at the draft to see. But I think the Geno move, the Kuntz re-signing, what they've done so far.
They got to lower those interceptions for old Gene Dog.
I'm a fan of. Yeah.
Old Gene Dog be throwing them touchdowns. He be throwing them interceptions too.
He's got Chip Kelly. Now.
Chip Kelly, man.
Chip Kelly's not
We love Chip Kelly around
next to
here.
a bunch of interceptions. Chip Kelly's offense. It's not a common theme for him. All right. That's our show for today. We will be back tomorrow recapping day 3 as the NFL season opens up.
Aaron Rodgers, question mark?
TBD. Yeah, maybe talking about where he's going to play.
Vikings, full Brett Favre route.
Right now, where
Vikings. He's going Brett Favre, carbon copy. Stay away from softball fields and volleyball fields in Mississippi, though.
And get rid of your camera phone. No, that was in New York. He had to already get rid of it. I say Pittsburgh. I say he's Pittsburgh.
That'd be fun.
It would be fun. It's going to be fun, and it'll be fun tomorrow. Hope you guys join us. Thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep pushing.